Welcome to the Black Guy, White Guy show. Anthony Walsh is on vacation. I'm Brad Hollowell. And starting with headlines. Tonight, John Husted was caught on tape at a Tea Party rally that happened a couple days ago. And he is vowing to continue his voter suppression activity and voter ID laws, pushing them in the Congress over the next year, even though he has lost in court and was actually called back before the court for ignoring the court's ruling in Ohio. Eric Holder was cleared by the Department of Justice's internal watchdog in a 471-page report on knowing about the Fast and Furious program before it happened. 14 employees were referred for discipline in that report. Tonight's show is going to be on the Romney comments that came out in a secretly recorded video from a fundraiser in Boca Raton back in May. And so we're going to get into basically what was said. We're going to talk about some comments that conservatives have made about it, and we are going to talk about basically what it means for the election. Okay, so let's get into what it actually said that was so controversial. Basically, in talking about people who are going to vote for Obama, Romney said there's 47% of people who are going to vote for Obama, and these people are dependent on government, that they don't pay taxes, and so his argument of lower taxes is not going to be very appealing to them because they don't pay taxes anyway, so lowering taxes doesn't help them. He said that he believes that that the 47% believe that they are victims, and that they depend on government, that the government has a responsibility to take care of them, and that they feel entitled to food, health care, and housing, and the government should provide those things for them. He goes on to say, it's not my job to worry about these people. He is going to worry about that 7-8% that are in the middle, that aren't decided, and try to get them over to his side. Right now, he has received a great deal of criticism, obviously from the left, but let's talk about who's criticizing him on the right. People like Peggy Noonan, a well-respected conservative writer, Bill Kristol, another well-respected conservative writer, and David Frum, who is a writer now and used to work for George Bush, has criticized him as well. Scott Brown has ran away from his comments. He's running in Massachusetts for a second term as senator against Elizabeth Warren, and he is behind in the polls at this point. So I think he's very much trying to stay towards the middle. Let's talk about who's supporting Mitt Romney's comments. Besides his wife, who has said that he was taken out of context, which he was not, Rance Priebus, the chair of the Republican National Committee, has come out saying that what he said was right. Rush Limbaugh is saying that this is an opportunity for him to fight the good fight and show that he's a true conservative. A slew of commentators on Fox, of course, and people at the Drudge Report. Paul Ryan, in answering questions about the comments, has claimed that Mitt Romney was inarticulate in what he said, but his point was valid. So, this is going to be a supplemental show, by the way. It's not going to be the full time, but I just wanted to I didn't feel like I could pass this up. I am also experimenting with videotaping this show while at the same time audio taping it. So we are going to, excuse me if I turn and have to do some things and you don't know what I'm doing. So if Anthony were here, I'd be asking him what it is he thought about these comments and whether this was the end for Romney in the context of running for president. I would argue that it is not the end of him running for president. But as long as Obama and his campaign does a good job of fighting a good fight, because being 5 points up, 7 points up, depending on what poll you look at, is not the end of Romney. He could come back. A lot of commentators are saying that Romney will have a really good chance in the debates that are coming up week after next, I believe, first week of October, and that he is going to have to do an excellent job. People are also saying that Obama, who legitimately did not win every debate in the primary against his opponents like Hillary Clinton, is going to have to do a very good job, because he didn't do such a good job against, say, Hillary back then. But they don't talk about how he did against, say, McCain. And he did a very good job against McCain. McCain was very stiff, and that may be style over substance. But I think that Barack Obama, if he keeps his cool and deals with the subjects, he has a grasp of foreign policy, has a grasp of the economy, and he is able to keep a lot of figures in his head. That's something that senators tend to take a lot of pride in, is being able to talk about the issues and break out with the numbers. All the commentators and news people out there have been saying that people aren't giving details. Barack Obama hasn't given enough, and that Romney obviously hasn't given any. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But I think that based on what I've seen of Romney in debates, and I watched all the debates in the primary, while he's not someone that yells, he is someone you can see the frustration on his face when he starts to get upset or angry. And I think that you're going to find that Romney is going to find himself getting frustrated a lot, as he's not able to, especially if he keeps his details of his plan to himself, and he plans on getting through the primaries, or I'm sorry, through the debates without giving out those details, which I don't believe he has. So I don't think he's going to be doing that. And while Barack Obama's out there kind of giving out details, I think that he's going to find it very hard to debate against him when he's not willing to talk about what he's going to do. He's going to end up losing those debates. So we're going to take a quick break, and I will be right back. This is the Black Guy White Guy Show. Okay, and we're back. It seems like my breaks are short. It has more to do with my videotaping than it has to do with me needing a break. So bear with me. But what I want to do now is get into some of the criticisms that David Brooks got into in his piece that he put into the New York Times. He made some very poignant comments, and I think that it would be interesting to go through them in a little detail, quite frankly. So, give me a second here. Sorry. There we go. All right. Ooh. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. All right. So, David Brooks, who is a well-respected, he's been on NPR, he's been on the NewsHour with McNeil there. He's done that for years. He's been on MSNBC a little bit, and he's done CNN. And he's an excellent writer. And as far as one of the conservatives that I actually read and listen to, he's one of them. And so he is somebody that I would tell any conservative or liberal that if they want to know what's going on and they're trying to find out what's happening, and they want to read both sides, this is one of the guys that I read to know what's going on with both sides. He starts this piece out with some interesting information. In 1960, government transfers to individuals totaled to $24 billion. In other words, payouts, welfare, Social Security, so on and so forth. By 2010, that total was 100 times as large. And it's gone up 700% in the last 50 years. This spending surge has increased faster under Republican administrations than Democratic ones. He goes on to say later that Romney's comments suggest that he really doesn't know much about the country he inhabits. Who are these freeloaders that he's talking about? Is it the Iraqi war veteran who goes to the VA? Is it the student getting a loan to go to college? Is it the retiree on Social Security and Medicare? He says that it suggests that Romney doesn't know much about the culture of America. Yes, the entitlement state has expanded, but Americans remain one of the hardest working. America remains one of the hardest working nations on the earth. Americans work longer hours than just about anyone else. Americans believe in work more than any other people. 92% of people in America say that hard work is the key to success, according to a Pew Research survey. He also says that people who receive the disproportionate share of government spending are not big government lovers. They're Republicans. These are senior citizens, and he goes on and says they are white men with high school degrees. He quotes Bill Gaston from the Brookings Institute and states that the people who have benefits from the entitlement explosion are middle-class workers, more so than dependent poor. He also says that Romney's comments also revealed that he has lost any sense of the social compact. And I would go on as a criticism and say that Romney is not the only one. This Tea Party Republican organization has lost their sense of the social compact and believes at this point that it's unconstitutional. And I believe that's crazy, but that is where they stand. They believe that the social compact is unconstitutional based on how they read it. I don't know where they get it from, but that is what they believe. I don't know where you go as a presidential candidate when you have some of the most prominent Republicans criticizing you. Okay? Yes, you've got people who are way, way over on the right, I'm using my left hand, way, way over on the right, saying that this is right. And it is definitely the kind of red meat that the Tea Party and people way on the right want to hear, as well as the wealthy. They're very wealthy. But I think he hurt himself with that middle ground, moderate, independent group that he's trying to get, that he's talking about in this video, trying to appeal to, because many of them fit into the category of some of the people that he's criticizing. And so I don't know how he's going to win them over when they look around and they go, okay, wait a minute, I'm actually one of these people that he's talking about. I actually go to the VA. I actually get Social Security. You add that to picking Paul Ryan as his vice president, who wants to turn Medicare into a voucher program. And let me just say this. I'm going to try to say this as often as I can until the election. Paul Ryan's plan, and Mitt Romney has not criticized this or said he's going to stay away from it, is in fact a plan that cuts a lot of money out of Medicaid. And a lot of people think that Medicaid is a program for the poor. But in fact, most people who have been using Medicare in their elder years and then need to go into a nursing home have to use Medicaid to supplement. They get put on Medicaid to help pay for that nursing home. They do not pay for it strictly with Medicare. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother, when they went into a nursing home, this is stuff that happens with somebody in an office. You don't necessarily see this happening. You may not know this, but at some point in time, they had to not only receive Medicare, but they received Medicaid. If you heard your parents say, well, grandma became, say, a ward of the state, is what we used to call it back when I was a kid, that means that she no longer had the money or the assets to take care of herself. And now the state was, we thought of it as the state helping out, but really what it was is she was going on Medicaid, which is a federal state program that where both have to put money in, just like Medicare. So that program is going to cut drastically, and you may find that your loved one who needs to be in a nursing home can't afford it because the program got cut. And people talked about this when the Paul Ryan plan first came out, but people haven't talked about it very much since. And people need to know that when you try to cut Medicaid, you are not just cutting the program for poor people who you might think are just freeloading off the government. The truth is that most people who are receiving Medicaid are children, because most states have gone to a program where Medicaid goes to families with children and not just individuals, and to the elderly, not to individual poor people. So I just have to get that in, even though it's really kind of a little bit off subject and it's a tangent. But it's important that people know that, because you need to know what you're voting for. And no one's denied that they're going to change that. You know, Mitt Romney said, "Oh, we're not going to take the $700 billion out," but no one has denied that they're going to change how Medicaid gets cut. So I don't know how Mitt Romney fights this without taking care of this problem. And he has to do it in the debates. And the only way he can fix it in the debates is to give us some details about his budget plan and what he plans to cut. So to wrap up, let me just say that I just had to talk about this issue here today, even though really it's kind of I could have taken a week off, because with Anthony out of town, we usually would just kind of take the week off. But I just had to talk about it. I've been chomping at the bit to talk about it, so I went ahead and did a show, and a short show, and I'm about to end it. But what I would tell everybody is to look for the poll numbers that are coming out over the next 2 weeks and see whether this gives Obama a bump. Another thing that you might look for is fundraising amounts, and see if some of the commentators or news pundits comment about whether there was some kind of spike in fundraising based on these comments coming out, because I think they're important. I'll be very surprised if there's not some kind of sign, whether it be polls or fundraising, that don't give us some idea that Obama benefited greatly from this. So this is the Black Guy White Guy show. Let me tell you how to get in touch with us. You can listen to the show at our website at www.blackguywhiteguy.com. You will be able to find the entirety of this show, if you want to see me on video doing the show, at YouTube at our page there. Just punch in the Black Guy White Guy show when you get to YouTube, and you should be able to find it. You can follow us on Twitter at BGuyWGuy. You can find the show on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, punch in the Black Guy White Guy show, and when you go there, please leave a comment and subscribe to the show. You can contact me at bradtheblackguy@gmail.com, and you can contact Anthony at anthonythewhiteguy@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.